Listen to the people, listen to humanity, listen to the Parrot, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot. Listen to the people, listen to humanity, listen to the Parrot, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV. Listen to the people, listen to humanity, listen to the Parrot, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV, Parrot TV.
America Open Market, AO Market. The best digital market for humanity is a free multilingual borderless market open to international sellers with various languages included. With America Open Market, you may start selling in minutes after filling out the form. Comprehensive dashboard where you understand your sales, orders, and customers is available. You get paid directly, securely, and instantly on the America Open Market. You can sell your house, car, electronic laptop, CD player, boombox, phone, headphones, furniture, and clothing, and anything on AmericaOpenMarket.com where all your sales and customer needs are met. Register as a merchant today. You will not regret becoming a vendor at America Open Market. For further inquiries, contact us at aomarket@gmail.com. AO Market, best digital marketplace for humanity. Hello, welcome to World Linkers Network. I am Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Today we have Maya Herman. She is an internationally published Serbian-American author of 24 books. She is multi-awarded poet, popular novelist, distinguished essayist, bilingual scholar, major translator, and acclaimed as a global icon of poetry and literature, and anointed as ambassador of culture, poetry, peace, and goodwill. Maya Herman is also the Princeton PhD in comparative literature who taught at the most prestigious universities such as Princeton, Rutgers, and was a guest lecturer at Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and Iowa universities, and a recipient of 2 Fulbright Scholar Awards, American University Women and Princeton University Fellowships. Her poetry collection, The Grand Plan, was published in 2019 in English and German, and in 2020 in Italian, with an introduction by Dante Maffio. It was recently awarded Antonio Ferrari's Award as the best foreign poetry book in Italy 2021. Her poems appeared also in 2019, 20 through 20 in various prestigious British, American, and international anthologies such as 21st Century Literary Criticism, Literature Today, Volume 9 and 10, Poetic Bond 9 and 10, the Galaxy A Tunis Poetry Anthology, The Winter is Coming International Poetry, Poets and Poetry, Brave World Magazine, and Serbian national TV channels and dailies such as Politika and Bleak. It was also nominated in 2016 for NIN, the most prestigious Serbian Literary Award, as were her 2 previous novels. Her Tesla biography in English, Who Was Nikolai Tesla, the Genius Who Gave Us Light, and her selected poems in a bilingual English-French e-edition, De la Terre de Desolation, Out of the Wasteland, came out in 2016, and along with the long poem Lady of Vincha, published in 2017, mark a major return to her origins in poetry. If you want to check more out and learn more about her, you can look up her Wikipedia page. And it's wonderful to have you on the show today. Maya, how are you doing today?
Hey, Dustin, good to see you. Well, I'm doing fine. It's a busy time. It's probably the busiest time of the year for me because there is an international book fair going on in Belgrade. I'm in Belgrade right now. As you probably know, I kind of live between New York City and Belgrade. It's been like that recently because of some family problems I had, and so on. So, as I said, it's a very busy time, and this whole week I'm involved in the book fair festivities and events, and actually it is very exciting that on Saturday 29th
Mm-hmm.
I will have a promotion of my new novel, Nine Lives of Milena Pavlovich Barili. I will tell you more about it later.
Mm-hmm.
That was already published in Serbian first and then in English, and now it will be in Italian. And what makes it also interesting for you is that my friend and translator Claudia Piccino was your guest,
Mm-hmm. I
and
remember it
she,
very well.
yeah, yeah, and she's my translator. She's my voice in Italian in Italy, and successfully so. And it's very nice that the Italian Institute of Culture is bringing her to this event at the book fair. So we will present the Italian edition of this novel of mine. Um,
Wonderful.
that makes it really special. But let me tell you something about my heroine of the novel. It's a very postmodern novel. There were many uh, strange coincidences and parallels in our biographies. Um, and I started from there and then moved on to write Beyond the Grave in her voice. She is a Serbian Italian American artist,
Mm-hmm.
a woman, an artist, and a poet too, who I am trying to relaunch in a way in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yes, because she was important in the 30s and 40s, um, and then almost forgotten
Mm-hmm.
now. And you can barely find uh, any information about her, even on the internet. Maybe you will find some paintings, things like that. So if I can continue just a few words about her.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, she was born in Serbia, of Serbian mother, but who was a pianist, and her father was a famous Italian composer and critic and so on, Bruno Barilli. So she lived between, like I lived between America and she lived between Serbia and Italy for most of her young life.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, she studied in Munich. At one point, she was considered by Italian art critics as their new hope, uh, a new artist, and so on. Then she moved on, being a nomadic spirit like me as well,
Mm-hmm.
to France, to Paris. And she was actually in Paris at the height of surrealism, and she befriended almost every uh, well-known artist you can think of, like Dali, De Chirico, and so on. And she had some major exhibits in Rome and in Paris. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the whole bunch of them, Dali and everybody else, Breton, moved to New York. in the late 30s, 39, also feeling that the war is coming. She also moved to New York, and she had really no connections. First 3 months were really very hard for her, and then she met some people who helped her introduce to the then editor-in-chief of Vogue. And in a very short time, she became like the main illustrator of Vogue. She even did the covers of Vogue and Town Country and so on. And she was at the height of her career in New York. And she was one of the 31 women artists at the first exhibit of women in the world that was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that was organized by Peggy Guggenheim, out of which came such names as Frida Kahlo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and many other very famous artists like Leonore Fini and so on. But somehow she was the 22nd of 31 in the catalog, I mean. But somehow, although some of those names became, household names like Frida Kahlo, she was kind of forgotten. She died too young. She was barely 36 uh, when she died in New York, and she was just at the beginning. God knows what will be with her. She was just about to do a ballet, to design costumes for a ballet with her best friend in New York, who was a famous Italian American composer, Giancarlo Menotti. And then she died, and I leave this enigma still as an enigma because it's not clear. She was just on the verge of becoming famous. She was just about to sign a very important contract, and then she left us. She, in my opinion, from what I know, she took too many pills. She was sick from the age of 6. Like she had very similar invalidity, if I can say that, a very serious problem with her spine and so on, like Frida Kahlo. And I drew this parallel with Frida Kahlo through the book.
Mm-hmm.
Although, interestingly enough, although they were having similar circles of friends, and they even had exhibits in the same galleries in Paris and in New York in very short time, like between, I don't know, 2 months difference. Something. They never actually met. But I think that in a way, they're doppelgangers. They have so many things in common. So what I'm trying to do, and why I'm so happy to have it in English and in Italian now, is that as I'm saying, I'm dreaming of having made it into a movie, and I'm actually working with a quite well-known film director at the moment. God knows what will happen out of it, and also friends of mine from New York, actually, a pianist of Serbian origin, Tatiana Rankovic, who organized a festival in near Dubrovnik in Herzegovina, near the Adriatic Sea. I was there this summer as a guest, and her husband, a composer, are so touched and so emotionally involved, became in this book of mine, that he, as a composer, Ionel Petriu, who is a Romanian origin lived in Paris and made a lot of music for many French movies, and now is in New York, expressed the wish to make it into a modern opera. So we have all these fantastic, uh, projects. God knows what will happen. These are all long-term and very complicated projects, as you
Mhm.
know, but hopefully it will fulfill at least a little bit of my wish and dream, that Milena is known from now on in the world just by her name, like Frida. You say Frida, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
hopefully Milena Barilli will also soon become a well-known name again, because she was in the 30s and the 40s. So that's one of my many projects.
That sounds fascinating. It's like you seem to be kind of attracted to these figures that are sort of obscure. Like Tesla also is another one you've done on kind of bringing Tesla to the mainstream and making people more aware of what his legacy represents. So, did you have any insight onto what fascinates you about people like that?
Well, I just, feel it's lately, that I did a couple of things like that.
Hmm.
And Tesla is now known everywhere more for Elon Musk than for what he really did. And
Hmm.
he is the father of 21st century. I mean, everything we do is basically based on his inventions. Of course, starting from the electricity we use, but to remote control and internet. And Elon Musk knows it well, and that's why he gave to his company and his industries the name of Tesla,
Hmm.
um, because he's using many of his inventions. And, um, so he is better and better known, deserves to be even more
Hmm.
known, and he was surpressed in this by Edison.
Hmm.
Edison had to, admit that his type of electricity is better than his, and was a better businessman for sure than Tesla, who was totally almost like an alien in his dedication to science and science only. I mean, he's not only probably one of the greatest inventors of all time, but he's also very interesting personality. So I thought I would write something that would be um, kind of accessible for anybody who
Hmm.
is not a physicist or electric engineer, who is like you and me, who
Right.
wants to know the fact. And so I did write a very accessible book that I really want people to read from the age of 12 to 112. It's not typical of my books, but as you were mentioning, I did, especially to women, I did dedicate a couple of books to persons or legends that were misunderstood or not understood, or not known enough or something like that.
Hmm.
So I went back to actually Serbian origins, archaeology in a way, because there is the archaeological site on Danube near Belgrade that is probably not known enough, but has by new researches and so on, it seems that is the oldest system of science in Europe, even older than Mesopotamia. And I wanted, and this was the first probably urban culture. I was there, and I saw that they had like streets, and they had houses that were next to each other, meaning that there was no agriculture, there was trade.
Mm-hmm.
This was happening 3 to 5,000 years ago.
Mm.
And so I wrote a poem called Lady of Vincha, dedicated to that culture, trying again to popularize something that is not well known or not known enough. And I find extremely exciting and important to know. And then I did another thing. I was invited to a big poetry festival that is happening in Smederevo on the fortress from 15th century, the last Serbian fortress before the total invasion by Ottomans. And there was a princess, a Greek, a Byzantine princess, who was married to the last big Serbian despot king, you know. And when he died, she continued building this fortress, being between Ottomans and Ugars who were coming from the north. And somehow, in the famous Serbian epics, she was portrayed as an evil witch.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there at this fortress, and how beautiful it is above the Danube, and they opened for me for a happening I was doing there, her particular tower. It was a special honor for me. I said, oh my God, this woman between these two big armies managed to do this. I mean, she's the mighty Irina, not the damned one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the inspiration. And then I dug through some books and papers to find out more, you know. So I like to base everything like that on as many facts as I can find. But then I lift them up into poetry. So that's, you know, another example of what you were saying.
Right. We're going to take a brief break, but we'll be right back and we'll listen to some of your poetry. Excellent to have you on the show today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
World Inkers Monthly magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full-color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly magazine. Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony Rivecchio's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony Rivecchio, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University. Welcome back to World Inkers Network. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do, and subscribe to Parrot TV and take a look at some of the fabulous programming we have on there. Today we have Maya Herman, and she's going to read some wonderful works of her own, and we'll see what we have to offer for our viewership. Go ahead and read whatever you have prepared.
Okay, since we were talking about Lady of Vinci, I will read you first canto from the book.
Okay.
Lady of Vinci, I saw her who was I, how bent as willow hums while polishing clay floor to its highest glow, while admiring herself vain as in mirror. Then you ran through the fields free, with breeze of the blessed day, sculpted birds with wings spread, afternoon after work relaxed, you walked upright, bareheaded, blonde, golden, fairy-like. I saw how with hawthorn twigs you start kilns you built, their burnt wickers, your stylus and scepter. Beyond good and evil is your power. You spread your might benevolent over us, over mankind, from the beginning of time, without knowing it. I watched you transverse, light-footed, full length of a meadow, well built, how you glide among willows, pregnant, along the lazy Danube banks, braiding yellow locks, how you ride wild bulls, beautiful, to the mist of Avala Mount. I saw how you plant seeds, lentils and wheat, and clear whole forests, thick virginal woods, like a fire, unstoppable, quick, how you lay in the deep magic grass, how you catch fireflies in bowl for secret rituals, protecting willow trees from any harm all the while, because you bend when needed, like a twig. You throw yourself thoughtless in man's arm, feminine, bejeweled, and yet stone-like, unbreakable, white like leprosy with black mask, our mother, the sacred mistress of our lives and death, our prophet and our witch, sinless. You invoke your white-faced muses, sisters, priestesses, to dance, to pray for minors in the orgiastic trance. When they come from earth to lay tired in your embrace, bringing your shells and crystals, malachite and cinnabar, over 7 hills and 7 seas from the end of the world, to renew their masculine strength in your lap. You invoke magic for those who draw signs, who tell of holy trees you worship, of dreams in you, in them, in me, of birds, of sacred snakes, monsters, of rivers, shallows, and maelstroms, of sheep and bulls on glossy bows. Um, as if I read your mind, I saw you who were I. I saw how mighty and how innocent you are, big-eyed goddess beyond good and bad. I saw the first book in the world you have written in your head without knowing it. Thank you.
That's very interesting, and I think what fascinates me the most is the way you kind of characterize the female in there as like the moon goddess, really, because you say beyond good and evil, and phrases like that, or weighted in the poem. So I know I read through your sample works that you sent, and you mentioned specifically, the moon gods and Robert Graves and things like
Yeah.
that. So does that work a lot its way into your poetry a lot? The theme of the moon goddess.
Not really. This is the only one, I think.
Okay. Hmm.
But certainly, it is the territory that is described in Robert Graves as the
Hmm.
old Europe, the first Europe.
Hmm.
And his book is called The White Goddess.
Hmm.
And when you look at the figurines that were made here, I can show you like one here from this book. Can you see?
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
You see
Hmm.
how she put her hand or here, like arm, and she was all dressed up and bejeweled,
Hmm.
3 to 5 thousand years ago. And in all of those, if you can see, in all of those figurines, they have this huge black eye.
Hmm.
Uh, it took me a while to understand what is it, but it's probably totemic. It's probably like they are watching you. They're like alert. They are everywhere. Um,
Hmm.
could be also that it could be some kind of mask that they will wear
Hmm.
for rituals. Anyway,
Must be something with
it is a
Cyclops.
very interesting. And when I was there, I was very impressed for
Hmm.
what I learned and what I saw.
Hmm.
As I was saying, they never had the war during these matriarchal times, which
Hmm.
were almost 2,000 years. No
Wow.
war, no conflict, just trade,
Hmm.
trade,
Wow.
and spreading in this peaceful fashion as traders
Wow.
throughout Europe,
Hmm.
all the way down to what is now Turkey, and all the way up to, I think, what is now maybe Republic, or something like mid Central Europe. But
Hmm.
the old Europe that Graves is calling it the first Europe and so on is there around Danube, in this area that is mostly in Serbia. Part of it is also, but they spread in Romania and what is now Croatia and Hungary and so on. But the oldest archaeological sites are there
Hmm.
in Serbian part of Danube towards the Romanian border and towards where that's where Danube is biggest. It's like a sea. It's like fantastic, fantastic site. I highly recommend you visit
Wonderful.
someday.
Very
Um,
interesting.
yes, yes. This
Very
whole
historic.
area
Hmm.
of East Serbia is where this woman I was talking about was born. Also, just happened. So I have no connection with that area, but it just happened. So many coincidences, like as I was saying, there are many biographical parallels with Milena, the woman I just written about. This artist, one of them is, for example, can you imagine? My grandfather, a famous Central European painter, slightly older than Milena, studied also in Munich, and as she did, he kind of escaped to Paris
Hmm.
because Munich, obviously, for them was too rigid school. So they were ready for new new artistic language.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
so
That's
yeah,
fascinating. So, do
yes.
you have any final words you'd like to leave with their viewers today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you,
Thank
and I
you.
want to thank you for how wonderfully detailed and knowledgeable you are about my work. I'm very grateful for that.
Quite a bit of
From
it in
you
this interview gave me. It was
introducing me.
love
I
it.
also want to say something else.
Okay.
I'm leaving next week for India, where I'm invited to to be a chair of the World Conference of Poets and the World Summit of Writers in
Mhm.
Chandigarh. I was invited by my great friend and collaborator, and I think probably the most important Indian poet, philosopher, and also a publisher and so on, Dr. Jernail Anna.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm very excited to go after this COVID situation that, was so frustrating for all of us, I'm sure,
Right. Mhm.
to actually meet some of my old friends from all over the world and from India, and to greet them and meet them and kiss them and hug them in person.
Mhm.
And also, I think that such conferences, and I attended a few, um, do bring people together and nations together,
Mhm.
and nobody and poetry is the main glue here
Mhm.
that unites people of this planet. I would say this is
I
my
think so
experience,
too.
that people
Mhm.
are hungry for beauty and for poetry. And this is a
Right.
kind of a new time for poetry. This is
Mhm.
my message.
I believe so. I believe you're right. It's a kind of a renaissance on the horizon of the arts in
Yes,
general. I think all this decadence and decay is going to lead us to a higher plane. Eventually, it can't just let us fester in it. We have to keep moving forward. I think that's a very positive message we've left with. I want to just thank you again for being on the show today. And if you know of anybody else that would like to join us, then feel free to suggest, and we'll put them on.
I just did. Go with the Dr. Jernail Anna,
Hmm.
Indian poet, philosopher, publisher, and now organizer of this summit. So if you want, I will connect. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank
Sounds
you,
great.
Dustin. It was a pleasure,
Thank
and
you.
hope to talk to you sometime soon again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to come to a next such summit? I would be more than delighted to
Oh, thank you.
invite you.
Absolutely. You've been watching World Inkers Network, and thanks for our viewers. Please subscribe to our channel, and definitely, if you want to donate to our wonderful programming to keep us moving and keep this program free of charge and so forth, and keep our guests coming on. Here's our PayPal, paypal.me/nyparrot. That's paypal.me/nyparrot. If you want to be a guest on the program, you can get in touch with me, send a bio and a headshot, a few sample works as well to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. And thanks for watching the show, and go back and watch it again if you missed any of the wonderful moments in this show. We will definitely do some clips for you, and just keep watching Parrot TV, and have a wonderful afternoon, and get to writing. If you haven't done any writing today, please do. Get to writing, guys. Thank you.
Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot.